Hey guys, it's Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. We're back in the shed. We're going to tackle something else from the emergency storage shed just out there. Another box, episode 48. Let's go and see what we can find. It's getting a little exciting out here because we're almost ready to move this shelf unit out of the middle of the room and create some more floor space. So all we have at the bottom shelf is some vintage laptops, an army box, and I don't know what's in it. And judging by the way the shelves are bowing, I'd say it's fairly heavy. And then it looks like we have another tub full of old tools. I can see a spanner, a good sized spanner, and then underneath I don't know what that is. It's obviously got venting there, so maybe it's some sort of old electrical appliance. I don't know. First thing, let's get these laptops off. We'll take them through to the bench. We'll have a look. They would have come to me in the e-waste over the years. I've put them aside because they were vintage ones and I just didn't want to scrap them out with doing some research on them. So today's the day. We have to decide what to do with them. And here we go. They're quite heavy. They're quite thick. They're clearly vintage. Whether they're old enough to be of any value, we've got to work that out. Maybe I'll just scrap them. Let's do some investigating and make some decisions. I think someone did suggest on one of my videos that the title, What to Do With Stuff, might be a great title for an autobiography one day, because we need to make decisions. That's the whole thing in sorting out. I've obviously kept these because I felt that they shouldn't be just scrapped without a bit of more research. They're possibly entering the realms of collectible, and I don't really want to scrap things that do have a market collectible-wise. IBM ThinkPad. How does that open? There we go. I think I'll put the phone in the stand and we'll open each one of them and have a look. Okay, let's look at this IBM. It's an IBM ThinkPad. Oh, okay. It's complete. The screen doesn't look damaged. We've got a very scary looking skull sticker. It's actually not in bad condition. I can't see any breakages with it. The keyboard looks okay. I don't know if it's going to work or not. I obviously don't have a charger for it. There's something missing from this side. Oh, it's probably the hard drive. Someone's taken a hard drive out. But whether the actual laptop itself is going to have any collectability, I will need to check on that. It's got Windows XP, Centrino, Intel CPU. I'm guessing it's probably early 2000s. It's certainly thick and chunky. So it's a Lenovo. Is IBM the same company as Lenovo, or were they? Okay, I don't know that they actually have dates on these. It is made in China, so it might not be old enough to be of any collectible value. I'll do some checking on that one before we go any further. The other one we have here, or the other bigger one, is a Compaq, and it's quite a chunky one as well, possibly a little bit older than the other one. How do we open it? There we go. Well, that's in nice clean condition inside. Keyboard looks fantastic. Screen's not damaged. It's Windows XP again, so it's maybe a similar era. Pentium 4. Yeah, it's certainly in good condition. Even the top's not bad, it's just a bit dusty. This one possibly still has a hard drive in it. Alright, so we'll check that one as well, but again, probably around about the same era, maybe early 2000s. I will have to check on that. Could be late 1990s. This one looks quite a bit older. TPG. And it just certainly looks more vintage, almost reminiscent of a typewriter. So very small screen. Keyboard looks fantastic. Again, it's nice and clean. So if people do collect these, it's nice to have them where they're not too badly scuffed up and damaged. It's obviously got some staining on the front that might clean off. This one is probably going to be 1990s, early 1990s. I'm only guessing. I can't see any dates on there, but I will do some eBay checking. This is made in Taiwan, So I think this is likely to be the most collectible of the three. So off to do some research next. Okay, so I've hopped on eBay and I've searched for these laptops. We started with the ThinkPad. Initially I had Lenovo in the title and didn't get many results. And then I decided to take IBM out as well and just use the words ThinkPad and R52, which was the model of it. That way you don't exclude listings where people didn't use the right keywords. Obviously in this one they did use Lenovo and IBM, but in this one, as you can see, they didn't use the word Lenovo. So that's a bit of a search tip. I just tend to search for the basic terms and then screen out all the junk through various filters. So we found one that sold for $50. It was a buy it now, and I think it was in operational condition. But it was missing a key and it had a few other cosmetic issues. A few people were selling parts for them. This one here didn't sell. It was listed, it was in the States. I've looked worldwide here. There wasn't any in Australia. So that didn't get a $50 bid. This one here actually sold for $203. It was a buy it now, and I think this was a computer, a specialized vintage computer business, and it was fully working, and it came with a good battery, a charger and everything, so that made pretty good money. But then there's a lot of work to getting them up to that standard. Another one here, I think it was from the same company or something similar, again sold for the same price. So they were both in the States. This one here just went for $24. So there's a few of them around. This one actually fires up as well, but it didn't have a charger and it only sold for $24. This one here, for parts, I think it was offered, not working, and it got a couple of bids and made $15 Australia. That was in the UK. So that tells me they're not a rare model, but collectors are starting to snap these up. I did a bit of checking and I believe this one was released in 2005. So I've decided I'll just clean ours up a little bit, the one I found, and we'll put that in the shop, probably for just $20. I've decided to do that rather than scrap it, because you're not going to get $20 worth of scrap out of it. What was this page? Oh, this is one I had a bit of a look. It was listed as for parts and not working, and it hasn't had a bid. That was actually in Australia, so I did find one in Australia. Nice clean condition, but listed for parts, and yeah, it didn't get a bid. And oh, there was one other listing here, yeah, so we can finish with that page. And I do a bit of searching through Google just to check out forums and things and see what people say about them. It's a good way of finding out what dates they were made and any other information. But yeah, I didn't see anything with this model that makes me think it's worth putting it on eBay, so that's enough there. With the Compaq, I did a similar search. I found quite a few similar models, but not very many of the same model, and most of them weren't getting very much at all. One bid here for $27, that was in the UK. $16 buy it now, parts only. So again, I think these must have been fairly common, and consequently there's still a lot of them around. This one got one bid of $1.61. Why would you bother listing something and selling it for that cheaper price? Anyway, there was a couple that were working and in pristine condition or had been restored and sold for better money. But same deal on the Compaq. I've decided that I'm just going to put that in the shop, and because it's a slightly older model, I think I looked up, this one was around about 2002, and it was in really good cosmetic condition. I think I'll put $30 on this in the shop and see how we go. The last one, I couldn't find anything on it, so I just searched vintage laptop and then narrowed the results down a little bit. I think I just narrowed it down to Australia, completed items, and used. And I just scrolled through them, and there's some more modern stuff and even a few that we've just seen. But there was enough of these older plasticky type typewriter looking ones with the smaller screen that still didn't sell for a great deal. This one, I don't even know, Porter PC, don't recognise that as at all, parts only. This one, oh, that's even an older one again, a Wang laptop with a 5 1/4 floppy drive, so that's much older. So some of the very early stuff, like an Amstrad one here, sold for much bigger money. But the one similar to the the TPG that I had, this one was much the same. But this one must have been either a rarer model, it's a Toshiba, this one, or the fact that it's working. For some reason, it got a lot of interest and made nearly $300. But I did see some other Toshiba satellite ones that made hardly anything. So it's probably just particular models that are sought after. I couldn't find anything on the TPG. I suspect that they didn't make them themselves. I think TPG was an Australian telecommunications business that were an internet provider. And they must have branded themselves some laptops back in, I think this was 1996. There's a similar type one there, and those two, that's an Apple actually, didn't make very much. So I couldn't identify actually who made it, but from what I've seen on here, most of them aren't bringing very much money at all. 1996 probably just isn't quite early enough for laptops. Yeah, I'm just scrolling through. So when you have a broad search term like just vintage laptop, you're going to get a lot of stuff, a lot of it which won't even be relevant. But by scrolling through, you can usually pick up a bit of a gut feel on what it's worth. This is a vintage Compaq, a bit older than the Compaq we've got, and it sold for 110. This one's a similar era. That's an Apple again, so that made a bit better money. But those ones that are making good money are tested and working and usually have chargers with them. There's quite an older one. That's another Toshiba, but only made $49. So this is how I search something when you can't actually find any specific details from a model or anything like that. And you also sometimes stumble across some pretty unusual things. But anyway, it's given me a bit of a feel that it's probably not worth eBaying. We'll have a look at it in a tick. It did have a few cosmetic issues with the case. We don't have a charger, as I said. The battery's going to be dead. And I've decided I'll probably just put that in the shop for maybe $50. And, you know, if someone gets an absolute bargain and it turns out to be rare, well, so be it. But that's my plan. So I think we're likely to get $50 for this in the shop. I will clean the top up a bit better. But I noticed it has got a missing screw somewhere. Where was, oh, this cover I think was for the hard drive. There's a missing screw there, and I did pull out this side's a CD-ROM, and I don't remember how it comes out now. Oh, there's a little latch here and it slides out this way, and it's pretty cool that the whole CD-ROM just slides out like that. Oh yeah, there was no issues with that. This one here was for the battery, that's right. So the battery hasn't swollen or anything, but there were some cracks to the case under here, as you can see. So I don't like putting stuff on eBay and then not describing damage, and if you do describe all the damage accurately, it tends to put off buyers. So where I have the option to sell through the shop, that won't clip in now, people are then able to have a good look themselves and decide if it's worth $50. So that's my plan. That's cool how everything just slots together. So with our TPG laptop there at 50, our Compaq here at 30, and our ThinkPad here at 20, that should return us around about $100 if my prices are achievable. And as for a cleanup, all I'm going to do is use a bit of glass cleaner, a bit of Windex, or pretty well any general purpose cleaner I have around the shed that I rescue out of other people's sheds. That cleaned up pretty well, actually. It's got quite a few scuffs on it as well, so it wouldn't present that well as an eBay listing. These other ones should clean up okay, but again, they get a bit scuffed. And oops, there you go, that panel's loose. I don't know if it's broken or not. The clips might be broken. So at least selling through the shop, I know that's all right. I'm not going to have disappointed customers because they can establish for themselves the condition, and I'm happy to point out to anyone. All of them have had the hard drives removed, which is important as far as an e-waste dealer goes. I don't want to be the source of some data breach. Not that it's ever likely really to be a problem, but you know, if I say to people I make sure their data doesn't get moved on to someone else, well then I'm going to stick by that. So there we go, that's all I'm really going to do. They don't need to be spotlessly clean, just neat, not dusty. They'll make an interesting display in the shop, bring back some memories for people maybe. I mean, how's that for a lap? That actually almost looks like a little kid's game console, doesn't it? And yet that was current technology just over 20 years ago. It's amazing how far we've come. So there we go, that's what I'm going to do. 20 and 30 is 50 and 50 is 100. $100 return out of the shed. Hopefully we can get that through the shop. And I like to be able to pass on this vintage stuff to collectors. To scrap them out, you would have, or it might be interesting because you don't see the vintage stuff very often, but you would struggle to have $20, probably quite a lot less worth of value. The motherboards are small, there's a couple of RAM sticks in each, CPU, you may be able to sell that as a spare part, but generally scrapping is the lowest value you're going to get. If we can, I'm fortunate I've got a shop, I know, but if I didn't have the shop, I would probably group these three together and put them on eBay, and you're going to at least get more than $20 for the three of them. I know postage is a problem as well, but it's not hard to beat scrap value is my point. So there we go, that's what I'm doing with those vintage laptops. I had no idea at the start of this video, and that's the purpose of this playlist and many others that I do on this channel. We're making decisions, we're dealing with stuff, we're cleaning it up, and we're not sending it to landfill. These will hopefully find a new home. So thanks for watching, guys. Another successful episode. This was episode 48, and that brings our total to, I did check, and we're not far, we're I think $7,940, so almost at $8,000 worth of stuff out of that shed. And we've nearly got those shelves moved. How exciting. Catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.